Welcome to the Taking the Lead podcast, where we empower people to be unstoppable. I'm Christina Hepner with my co-hosts Leslie Hoskins and Timothy Cuneo. And today we have a little bit of a shorter episode, but I have to update you guys a little bit on my dog life because I now have 2 dogs.
Tell us. Wow. How'd that happen?
So I decided to foster a dog because it looked just like Duke. And they got it from a kill shelter in Tennessee, I believe it was. And this rescue brings these dogs up and puts them in foster homes. And I signed up to be one of those foster homes.
And then you foster failed.
And then we failed. And I will say, I was fully prepared to give her away to another family that would love her. But Johnny's heartstrings were...
you can't blame the whole thing on Johnny. Like, nobody's falling for that. Fault. Yeah, Timothy, nobody's falling for that, right?
Well, I like her. But Duke's my number one, you know? She's gotten very comfortable and she's a little bit of a wild child. So...
Well, first off, you have to tell the whole story. You thought... She was him.
So we got the papers and she was so overgrown. Like the hair was matted and it was really sad. And the paperwork said it was a boy that he was coming up. And so I thought I had 2 boy dogs and I kept calling them my little boys. And then she got groomed and we found out that it was a girl. And so they contacted that shelter and was like, it's a girl. And so I got new paperwork. So I've learned I cannot trust the paperwork. I had an inkling that it wasn't a boy because I was like, this doesn't seem like a boy dog, but the hair and the matted and so overgrown. I was like, I'm not trying to check on my own. So we have a little girl and a little boy.
Oh,
she is about half the size of Duke. So they're both terrier mixes. Duke is about 40 pounds. And then she is half his size, about 20 pounds, and a little miniature Duke. So it's cute.
She's very sweet.
Well, how do they get along? They get along very well?
Yeah. So they've started. So Duke's going to be 10 in March, which is nuts. So, and she's about, from what her paperwork says, 1.5 years. Who knows? And so at first, like, she would try and play with him. And he was just like, I don't really care. But now they start to play together and they always do it in the worst spot. I'm like, let's do this outside. Yeah. But it's nice. They lay together, they snuggle together. So I think it was a good time to bring in a young dog for Duke because he's getting older. He's now considered a senior dog, which is so wild. And I got him from a rescue at 2 months old. So...
Well, this weekend, I asked Alexa when is a dog, a senior dog. It says 7.
Really?
That's a big question. Yeah, because Glacier, she just turned 6.
Aww.
And I got to, start thinking about switching her to senior dog food. I don't know when exactly to do that with Glacier.
Yeah, that's a great question. Definitely something to call the vet team and ask.
Yeah. But Timothy, I mean, she's 6. When was the last time you were at Leader Dog? When did you get her? What year was that again?
It was 2019.
Oh, wow.
Just before COVID hit. Yeah, 2019.
Yeah. Well, let's chat a bit about your journey because I'm sure there's a lot of people who are considering getting a guide dog or coming to Leader Dog for any of our programs. So, we haven't touched on your journey in a while. So let's just chat about where you're at now and how that relationship with Glacier has transformed and what you're doing now from what you were doing, back in 2019.
Well, 2019 was the big year. That's when I came up and met Leslie for my O&M in March. And then while I was there, I decided to get a guide dog. And since then, it's been a whirlwind. Going from somebody like me who used to be just sitting on the couch being depressed and now traveling all over the country, sometimes mostly by myself, it's empowering what I've been through. And it's because of what I've learned and got the independent skills from Leader Dog to do that.
Yeah.
And it's just great. It's great and crazy.
That's amazing. Let's touch a little bit about O&M and what O&M is. Leslie, if you want to kind of explain what you went through with Timothy for anyone who's considering that program.
What a week with Timothy. I mean,
no, she should have paid me.
Wait a minute. A week of orientation mobility is such a good experience. It's an opportunity to really focus on those cane skills. Orientation being where are you, where you're going, how to get there. And then, of course, the mobility piece of getting from point A to point B safely. So maneuvering the environment safely. So, Timothy, I think you can explain our week the best, but we really do focus on independent travel and meeting the client at their skill level and what goals they want to focus on. So we spent a lot of time working with the cane, getting comfortable, basic cane technique, and then slowly progressing to more complex skills and environments. But Timothy, what are some of your highlights, obviously, other than just like hanging out with me? That was fun.
Well, I mean, when I first got there, I questioned the whole thing, of course, how's this going to work? And like you said, we start off small and we work our way out. I mean, somebody like me who couldn't see in the dark ever in their life. And by the end of the week, I was able to walk in the dark by myself around the, downtown Rochester Hills, Michigan, was empowering. I got emotional with that because I've never been able to do that by myself. And so, I mean, you took somebody who was like a jar of clay and Leslie kind of formed me with her hands, basically with her skills. She teach me what to do. And I am here where I am today because of Leslie's beginning of Leslie's training.
You are too kind, Timothy. It was a team effort. You put in way more work. What's so interesting about teaching O&M sometimes is that, we'll be walking with a client around the streets or wherever, and people come up to us and say, oh my God, the work you do, thank you so much for everything you do. And, as an O&M specialist, it's really hard to understand that because, right, we're not doing any of the work. Yes, we're helping somebody, but our clients who are out there like yourself, Timothy, putting in the work, taking risks, being, vulnerable, you're the ones putting in the risks. And it a lot of times feels like as an O&M specialist, we're just doing these minor little things, but they have such a big impact. And so it's a fantastic career. It's very rewarding. But by all means, the clients are the ones putting in the most effort and dedication. And we just are appreciative, especially of our clients that come to Leader Dog. Nobody has to come to Leader Dog. So everybody who does come is already self-motivated. And we're really fortunate to work with people who already have such high goals for themselves and want to be independent travelers.
Well, being somebody who was like me in my life, where it seemed like everywhere I turned, I was getting the door slammed on me. On my face, and then find out about Leader Dog. It was just wow. And I was so grateful for the opportunity and glad that there was an organization out there that really cared about me and wanted me to come up and invest in me. And I can never repay back what Leader Dog has done for me over the past 6 years. So I want to thank Leader Dog for that.
Timothy, we've gotten our money's worth out of you. Are you kidding me? You're now like our huge spokesperson for us. I mean, we will never be able to repay you for the work that you do, sharing your experience, because our number one referral source is still like word of mouth, hearing from another Leader Dog client or graduate or, somebody who's experienced it is the best way for us to recruit anybody to our mission. So we are so appreciative of you and all the things that you're doing.
Yes. And Leslie and I were about to start to say the same thing at the same time. But yeah, Timothy, I have people all the time going, does Timothy travel? Do you think he'd do this? So Timothy, I mean, the amount of things you've done for us since, I've met you, I'm sure you've done more before I met you, is incredible. And we talked about your O&M, orientation mobility, the weight cane training experience you had on campus. Now let's talk a little bit about when you got Glacier and how that has transformed to now, like your relationship with Glacier and, how she and you work together as a team.
Well, they always say it takes about a year for you to become a team. That is reality. That's true. And it's where it's almost scary. I can read what she's about to do, and she can read to me what I'm about to do. It's crazy. You've been around each other for, that those 3 weeks at Leader Dog, and then you go home. And the training and your training doesn't end. Everybody just thinks, no, it takes a good while for you to become a team. So I remember our first trip alone together was a little nerve-wracking because I think I went to the NFB convention, that National Federation of the Blind, down in New Orleans. And that was going to be my first trip with Glacier after COVID. And I was a little nervous. And she worked beautifully that week. I couldn't believe how she took care of me, and she did exactly what her job was. And we, as a team, we walked all over New Orleans, and it was great. And that's so empowering and saying, hey, we've got this. We're going to be able to do it. And nothing stopped us since. And we just keep on going. Whenever I get a phone call, I need to go somewhere, I go. I don't ever say no because I know I can do it with Glacier. I know where I am now with her. And I know she's getting older now, and I'm starting to worry about, she's 6 years old, and how many more years I got of her, I don't know. And I'm hoping every day that she's going to get up and want to go work. And trust me, when she gets about 6, 7 years old, it's in the back of your mind that her days are starting to get numbered. And that's a little scary thought.
Absolutely. You guys have built such a great bond. You've done so much together, and I appreciate you being so vulnerable and sharing your experience. And it's been wonderful. And it is one of those things where you don't really know how long your guide dog will work, but you and Glacier, I think, have some really good years left in you, both of you, as a team. But also you brought up a great point of that work does not stop, right? You go home after being on campus or receiving in-home guide dog training, whatever it is, and then the work really begins. It's the two of you together conquering the world. And it does take about a year to become a good team. And even so now, I'm sure you find yourself in situations where, you two have to problem solve together or rework a situation or environment to make sure that you can continue traveling together as a pair.
Yeah, I mean, we don't go to the airport every day. So like I tell everybody, sometimes when I haven't flown in quite a while, I go to the mall and try to get her situated back into being around a crowd, the noises and smells and stuff like that. So every day is different. And so there might be some things that she needs to be worked back on because we haven't been to the airport in 3 or 4 months. And trust me, she still makes mistakes. So do I. So we just go on and we just move on to our next adventure. That's all we do. And just keep on trucking. That's all you got to do. Just keep on trucking.
That's right. Well, here's on to the next adventure. Thank you so much, Timothy, for sharing a little bit about your journey so far with Leader Dog for anybody who hadn't heard your story. And while that was just a brief little intro into it, as you've accomplished so much, we certainly appreciate it.
I appreciate the opportunities. And again, thank all the donors and all the volunteers and everybody who's attached to Leader Dog. I can never repay, like I always say that. And it just amazes me where I am now than where I was 7 years ago. I'm thankful for it every day.
Thank you, Timothy. We appreciate you. And thank you so much to our listeners for listening to this shorter episode of Taking the Lead podcast. I'm Leslie Hoskins with host Timothy Cuneo and Christina Hepner. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and please join us next time as we continue to dive into the world of blindness.
And if you'd like to learn more about applying to our free services at Leader Dog, you can head to leaderdog.org or call us at 888-777-5332. And don't forget, you can reach us at takingthelead@leaderdog.org with any questions or ideas. If you like today's podcast, make sure to hit subscribe and check us out wherever podcasts stream.